The Third Armada entered the Sol system like a wave of destruction. 300 alien warships, their hulls gleaming with power, their weapons ready to burn human worlds to ash. Fleet Admiral Korvan commanded from the flagship Eternal Dominion, and he was confident this would end quickly. Then his sensors detected the human fleet and he began to doubt. "Sir, we're counting approximately 500 human vessels," his tactical officer reported, "but most of them are not military ships. They appear to be civilian vessels." Korvan studied the screen. The officer was right. He saw cargo haulers, mining ships, colony transports, even luxury yachts. All of them had been fitted with weapons, crude armor, anything that could make them fight. "They're desperate," Korvan said. "They've armed their civilians because they don't have enough military ships. This will be a slaughter," but something bothered him. He remembered Dr. Yuna's words. He remembered how the Iron Mountain had fought. These humans had to know they couldn't win. So why were they here? On the bridge of the armed freighter Last Hope, former merchant captain Jae Hyun asked himself the same question. His ship was a cargo hauler with welded-on armor plates and salvaged railguns. He had a crew of 30, most of them cargo workers who had barely finished basic weapons training. They should be terrified, instead they were calm. "Ready. Captain, we're receiving tactical coordination from Admiral Hayrin," his communications officer said. "She's uploading the battle plan now." Jae Hyun studied the plan. It was insane. It was brilliant. It was the most human thing he had ever seen. "All civilian ships," Hayrin's voice came through the fleet channel. "You all volunteered for this. You all know the odds, but you also know what these aliens want to do to Earth. They want to burn our world, kill our families, and our species. We're going to show them why that was a mistake." Jae Hyun gripped his command chair. His crew looked at him, waiting for orders. "You heard the Admiral," he said. "Let's go save the world." The plan was simple. The civilian fleet would attack first, drawing the alien armada into a chase. The aliens, seeing easy targets, would break formation to pursue. Then the Ghost Fleet, hidden in the asteroid belt and behind moons, would strike from ambush. It was guerrilla warfare on a massive scale, and it required the civilian ships to act as bait. Jae Hyun's Last Hope led the charge. 500 civilian vessels armed with whatever they could find, screaming toward 300 alien dreadnoughts. The aliens opened fire and space lit up with energy beams. "Evasive maneuvers," Jae Hyun ordered. "Don't try to fight them. Just survive and draw them forward." Ships began to die. A mining hauler exploded. A colony transport lost its engines and tumbled into space. A converted yacht took a direct hit and broke apart. But the survivors kept going, dodging and weaving, leading the aliens deeper into the system. Korvan watched the chaos with confusion. "Why are they attacking? They must know they can't win." "Sir, they're heading toward Saturn," his tactical officer said. "Into the rings. Follow them. All ships maintain pursuit. We'll finish this quickly." The Third Armada chased the human civilian fleet into Saturn's rings. The aliens had superior sensors, superior weapons, superior everything. But they had never fought in a debris field like this before. The rings interfered with targeting. Chunks of ice deflected energy beams. Visibility was terrible. And that's when the Ghost Fleet struck. Captain Dongsu's Typhoon emerged from behind one of Saturn's moons like a vengeful ghost. 56 other warships followed. They had been waiting in silent mode, completely invisible to alien sensors. Now they opened fire at close range and the aliens had no time to react. "All weapons, continuous fire," Dongsu ordered. "Target their engines. Cripple them." The human warships tore into the alien formation. Railguns punched through shields. Missiles found weak points. And most importantly, the aliens were confused. They had been chasing civilian ships and suddenly military vessels were hitting them from behind. Lieutenant Bo Young coordinated the attack from the Typhoon's tactical station. She had studied the alien formations for weeks. She knew their weaknesses. She knew how they would react. "The flagship is trying to regroup the fleet," she reported, sending the coordinates to all ships. "If we take out the flagship, their command structure will collapse." "All ships focus fire on the flagship," Dongsu ordered. "Let's end this." 20 human warships concentrated their fire on the Eternal Dominion. Korvan's flagship was enormous and powerful, but even it couldn't withstand that much firepower. Shields failed. Armor cracked. Systems exploded. In the chaos, Jae Hyun's civilian fleet turned around. They had drawn the aliens into the trap. Now they came back for revenge. 500 civilian ships armed with whatever weapons they could carry swarmed the alien fleet like angry bees. They were individually weak, but there were so many of them. They got close where big ships couldn't maneuver easily. They fired at point-blank range. Some even rammed damaged alien vessels. On the last hope, Jae-hyun targeted an alien cruiser that had lost its shields. His improvised railguns fired, and solid metal slugs tore through the enemy hull. The cruiser exploded. "For Earth," someone shouted on the comm channel. The cry was taken up across the fleet. Hundreds of voices, military and civilian, all shouting the same thing. For Earth, for humanity, for survival. The battle raged through Saturn's rings for hours. Ships exploded. Debris filled space. The beautiful ice rings turned red with burning hulls. The aliens, for the first time in their history, began to panic. They had never faced an enemy like this. Soldiers who fought with broken ships. Civilians who chose to fight rather than flee. A species that refused to accept defeat even when victory was impossible. Korvan stood on his damaged bridge and realized the truth. Dr. Yuna had been right. The humans weren't fighting with superior technology. They were fighting with something his species had never needed. They were fighting with desperation, determination, and the absolute refusal to give up. "Signal all ships," he said quietly. "Break off the attack, retreat." "Sir, we still outnumber them." "I said retreat," Korvan shouted. "We can't win this. Not against Deathworlders." The Third Armada began to withdraw. Ships that could still fly formed up and prepared to escape. But Admiral Hayron wasn't going to let them go easily. "All ships pursue," she ordered. "Make them run. Make them remember this." The human fleet chased the aliens through the outer system. They harried them. They destroyed ships that couldn't keep up. They made sure every Valkyrie survivor would remember what happened when you attacked Earth. By the time the aliens escaped into faster-than-light travel, the Third Armada had lost more than half its ships, 160 vessels destroyed or captured, thousands of Valkyrie dead, and the remaining ships fled in disorder, their formation broken, their confidence shattered. Captain Dong-Soo stood on the bridge of the Typhoon and watched them go. Around him, his crew was exhausted but alive. The ship was damaged but intact. They had won. "Sir, incoming transmission from the Valkyrie homeworld," Bo Young reported. "It's marked as urgent diplomatic communication. Put it through." The message was simple. The Valkyrie Empire requested negotiations. They were willing to recognize human sovereignty. They wanted to discuss a peace treaty. They wanted to avoid further conflict. Dong-Soo almost laughed. They had come to conquer, and now they wanted peace. "Send a response," he said. "Tell them we'll talk. But they need to understand one thing first, sir. Tell them that humans don't forget. Tell them we'll negotiate, but if they ever threaten us again, we won't stop with their fleets. We'll come for their worlds. We'll show them what Deathworlders can really do." The message was sent. Around Earth, the battered human fleet began recovery operations. They rescued survivors. They salvaged what they could. They counted their dead and honored their sacrifice. Jae-hyun's last hope had survived. Barely. Half his crew was wounded. His ship was held together with emergency patches. But they had protected Earth. They had driven back an empire. As he looked at Earth through his view screen, that beautiful blue-green world, Jae-hyun understood something. Humans had won not because they were stronger or smarter or better armed. They had won because they came from a planet that taught them how to survive. They had won because when faced with extinction, they chose to fight. They had won because they were human, and humans never gave up. Across the galaxy, the news spread. The Valkyrie Empire, conquerors of 100 worlds, had been defeated by a single species. Species from a death world, a species called humanity. And every alien civilization that heard the story learned a new rule: never threaten a Deathworlder's home. The Valkyrie High Council met in emergency session for the first time in 300 years. Fleet Admiral Korvan stood before them, and for the first time in his long military career he felt uncertain. "Explain," Council Leader Reth demanded. "How did 6 dreadnoughts fail to subdue one primitive vessel?" Korvan pulled up the battle footage. The Council watched in silence as the human ship called Iron Mountain fought against impossible odds. They saw it take damage that should have destroyed it. They saw it keep fighting with half its systems offline. They watched it ram their flagship in a suicide attack that killed thousands of Valkyrie. "These humans," Korvan said slowly, "are not what we thought they were." "They are Class 7 primitives," another council member said. Our classification system is flawless. Our classification system measures technology, Korvan replied. It does not measure will, it does not measure determination, and it does not account for what their planet made them. He pulled up the data on Earth, the gravity readings, the atmospheric composition, the weather patterns, the geological instability. The council members grew quiet as they studied the information. This is a death world, one of them whispered. How did intelligence evolve here? That's the problem, Korvan said. Intelligence evolved here because it had to. Everything on this planet is deadly. The predators, the diseases, the environment itself. The humans didn't just survive this world. They conquered it. They became the apex predators of a planet designed to kill them. The council wanted proof. Korvan had it ready. He had captured a human medical ship the previous week. The crew had been taken for study, though they had fought even during capture. One of them was a doctor named Yuna. They brought her before the council. She was small by Velkari standards, barely reaching Korvan's chest. She had injuries from the capture, but she stood straight and looked at them without fear. You are human, Reth said, using the translation device. Explain why your species resists absorption into our empire, Yuna laughed. It was a bitter, tired sound. Because you're idiots who picked a fight you can't win. The council members bristled with anger. No lesser species spoke to them this way. You believe your primitive weapons can defeat the Velkari Empire? Reth asked. I believe you don't understand what humans are, Yuna said. You look at our ships and see inferior technology. You look at our weapons and see primitive tools. But you don't look at us. You don't see what Earth made. Earth is a planet, Korvan said. Planets cannot make anything. Earth makes survivors, Yuna replied. For millions of years, everything on our planet tried to kill us. Animals with venom, predators with claws and teeth. Diseases that killed billions, weather that destroyed cities, earthquakes, volcanoes, hurricanes, ice ages, droughts, and we survived all of it. She walked closer to the council, ignoring the guards who moved to stop her. Your species evolved on garden worlds. I've seen your biology reports. Your gravity is lighter, your air is thinner, your weather is calm. You never had to fight for survival. You never had to become dangerous. We have conquered 100 worlds, Reth said coldly. You conquered primitives who were weaker than you, Yuna said. Now you've found a species that's stronger, and you don't know what to do about it. Korvan studied the human doctor carefully. She was injured. She was alone. She was a prisoner facing a council that could order her death with a word. But she showed no fear. He remembered the footage of human soldiers fighting while wounded. He remembered crew members sealing hull breaches with their own bodies. He remembered a captain ramming his ship into a dreadnought rather than surrender. What do you want? He asked. Yuna looked at him. I want you to leave us alone. Go back to your empire. Tell them humanity is off limits. Because if you don't, you're going to lose this war. We have 300 capital ships, Reth said. Your entire fleet is barely 60 vessels. Then send them, Yuna said. Send all 300. Let's see what happens when Deathworlders fight back. The council dismissed her, but her words stayed with them. Korvan knew they should negotiate. They should leave human space and avoid further conflict. But the council's pride would not allow it. They had never retreated. They had never failed. They dispatched the Third Armada, 300 warships, veteran crews, weapons capable of destroying planets. They would crush the human rebellion and show the galaxy what happened to species that defied the Velkari Empire. Meanwhile, in human space, Captain Dong-Su was teaching the Velkari a different lesson. The lesson was called guerrilla warfare, and the aliens had never experienced anything like it. The UNS Typhoon and her sister ships didn't fight fair. They hit supply convoys in deep space. They ambushed patrol ships in asteroid fields. They used false distress beacons to lure enemy vessels into traps. They struck fast, killed efficiently, and disappeared before reinforcements could arrive. Lieutenant Bo Young was a tactical genius. She studied the alien movement patterns and found their weaknesses. She learned how to predict where enemy ships would be. She taught the human fleet to fight like wolves, not like soldiers. Another supply convoy on long-range sensors, Bo Young reported. 4 transports, 2 escort cruisers. They're following standard route Epsilon. Dong-Su smiled. Standard routes were predictable routes. Predictable routes were deadly. Signal the wolf pack, he ordered. The Typhoon will take point. Predator and Shadow will flank. Storm will cover our escape route. 4 human destroyers moved silently through space. They had turned off most of their systems, coasting on momentum, invisible to the alien sensors. They waited near a gap between star systems where the convoy would have to slow down to change course. The alien ships appeared right on schedule. They were confident, moving in standard formation. They had no idea death was waiting for them. All ships weapons free, Dongsu ordered. Hit them hard. The human destroyers opened fire at close range. Railguns tore through alien shields. Missiles found weak points in armor. The escort cruisers tried to respond, but they were trained for formal battles, not ambushes. One transport exploded. Another lost its engines and began drifting. The escort cruisers turned to face the typhoon, and that's when the Predator and Shadow hit them from both sides. It was over in minutes. All ships, pull back, Dongsu ordered. The storm will cover us. The 4 human destroyers vanished into the darkness as quickly as they had appeared. Behind them, the aliens sent distress calls and tried to understand what had happened. But understanding takes time. And time was something the Velkari didn't have. Admiral Hyrin coordinated the guerrilla campaign from Earth. She had turned the Outer Rim into a nightmare for alien ships. Every asteroid field could hide human vessels. Every distress beacon could be a trap. Every seemingly empty system could be a killing ground. The Third Armada is moving, one of her officers reported. 300 ships. They're heading directly for the Sol system. Hyrin had expected this. The aliens were angry and humiliated. They wanted to end the war quickly, so they were going to attack Earth itself. Perfect, she said. Signal all ships. Fall back to the Sol system. We're going to make them fight on our terms. Admiral, we only have the Ghost Fleet plus whatever civilian ships we can arm. We can't possibly win a direct battle against 300 alien warships. We don't need to win, Hyrin said. We just need to hurt them badly enough that they never come back. She began issuing orders. Mind the asteroid belt. Rig abandoned stations to explode. Create kill zones around Earth. Arm every ship that could fly, military or civilian. Turn Sol system into the most dangerous place in the galaxy. And someone get me Captain Dongsu, she added. I have a special assignment for him. In space near Neptune, Dongsu received his orders. He read them twice. Then he smiled. Bo-young, gather the wolf pack. We're going hunting for an armada. The Iron Mountain was dying, but she was taking her enemies with her. Commander Taeho gripped his chair as another explosion rocked the ship. The bridge lights flickered. Smoke filled the air. Half his crew was dead or wounded, but the ones still standing kept fighting. Shield generators are gone, Jiwoo reported. Her voice was steady despite the blood running down her face. Hull breaches on decks 4, 7, and 9. We've lost the port weapons array. Engineering status? Taeho asked. The response came from Chief Engineer Sung Jin, and he sounded almost cheerful. Sir, the reactor is running at 140% capacity. It should have exploded 30 minutes ago, but I told it that's not allowed. Can you keep it going? Probably not. But I can keep it going long enough. Long enough. That was all they needed. The Iron Mountain had been fighting for 6 hours against 6 alien dreadnoughts. She had no right to still be alive. But humans had never cared much about what they had a right to do. On the main screen, Taeho could see 2 of the alien ships were crippled. The Iron Mountain's railguns had punched through their fancy energy shields with simple, brutal kinetic force. Tungsten rounds moving at incredible speed. Didn't care about advanced technology. Physics was physics. A 3rd alien ship was badly damaged, trailing atmosphere and debris. The Iron Mountain had gotten close enough to fire missiles directly into its engine section. The aliens had tried to shoot down the missiles, but human weapons were designed to be simple and reliable. Half the missiles had gotten through. Incoming fire, the tactical officer warned. Port side, multiple energy beams. The Iron Mountain shuddered as the alien weapons tore into her unshielded hull. Metal screamed. Systems failed. But the ship held together because human engineers built things to take punishment. Return fire, Taeho ordered. All remaining weapons. Target the lead ship. The Iron Mountain's railguns fired again. Solid metal slugs crossed the space between the ships in seconds. The alien flagship's shields flared and held, but Taeho could see them weakening. Every hit drained their power. Every impact made them work harder. Marines status on Deck 9? Taeho asked. Sergeant Miran's voice came through the comm. Sir, we've sealed the breach with emergency foam. It won't hold long, but it'll hold long enough. We're moving wounded to the escape pods. Good work, Sergeant. Start evacuating non-essential personnel. Sir, with respect, we're all essential right now. Taeho smiled despite everything. Then start with the most wounded. That's an order. Down in the engine room, Sung-jin was performing miracles. The reactor should have melted down. The cooling systems were failing. The containment field was fluctuating. But Sung-jin had spent 20 years learning every centimeter of ship engines, and he was not going to let his reactor fail now. He rerouted power through damaged conduits. He bypassed safety systems that would have shut everything down. He pushed the fusion reaction harder than any textbook said was possible. The reactor was screaming, but it was still producing power. Engineering to bridge, he called out. Commander, I can give you one more big push. Full power to engines and weapons for maybe 10 minutes. After that, we're done. Taeho looked at his screens. 3 alien ships were damaged. 3 were still fully operational. The Iron Mountain was held together with prayers and stubbornness. 10 minutes of full power. He could work with that. Jiwoo, have you gotten through to Proxima Station? Yes, sir. They've evacuated most of the civilians. The evacuation ships are clear of the battle zone. Good. Taeho took a deep breath. Helm, plot a ramming course to the alien flagship. Engineering, give me everything you have. The bridge went silent. Everyone understood what he was ordering. Sir, Jiwoo said quietly. The escape pod will launch in 8 minutes, Taeho said. All hands except essential bridge crew will evacuate. That includes you, Lieutenant. Sir, I'm not leaving the bridge. Taeho looked at her. She was young, barely 25. She had her whole life ahead of her. But she was also human, and humans were stubborn. Fine, but everyone else goes. Pass the word. Throughout the ship, crew members began moving to escape pods. Some went willingly. Others had to be ordered at gunpoint by their officers. No one wanted to abandon ship, but orders were orders. Sergeant Myran personally threw 3 wounded Marines into a pod and sealed it before they could protest. The Iron Mountain began to accelerate. Her damaged engines screamed, but they worked. Sung-jin's impossible reactor pushed harder. The ship built up speed, aiming directly at the alien flagship. The aliens realized what was happening too late. They tried to change course, but capital ships don't turn quickly. They fired everything they had at the Iron Mountain, trying to destroy her before she could reach them. The Iron Mountain's armor was shredded. Her hull was breached in dozens of places. Fire raged through her corridors. But she had momentum now, and nothing was going to stop her. Escape pods launching, someone reported. All non-essential personnel are clear. Taeho watched the pod streak away from his dying ship. At least some of his crew would survive. That was something. Sir, we're at optimal ramming speed, the helmsman said. His hands were shaking, but his voice was firm. Lock the course into the computer, Taeho ordered. Then get to an escape pod. That's an order. Sir, go, all of you. I can handle this from here. One by one, the remaining bridge crew evacuated. Jiwoo was last. She stopped at the door and looked back at Taeho. It's been an honor, Commander. The honor was mine, Lieutenant. Now go, she left. Taeho was alone on the bridge of his dying ship, aimed at the alien flagship like a missile. He thought about Earth 3 weeks away. He thought about his family. He thought about the message he'd sent. Send everything, they would come. He knew they would. Humanity never abandoned its own. Computer, activate final protocol, he said. Transfer all remaining power to engines. On my mark, overload the reactor. Let's make this count. The Iron Mountain screamed toward the alien flagship. The aliens tried desperately to destroy her, but she was already more wreckage than ship. Their weapons punched through empty corridors and destroyed systems that were already dead. At the last moment, Taeho saw the alien flagship trying to deploy some kind of energy barrier. It wouldn't be enough. For Earth, he said quietly. The Iron Mountain struck the alien flagship at 0.3% light speed. The reactor overloaded at the moment of impact. The explosion lit up space like a small star. The alien flagship simply ceased to exist. The shockwave from the collision tore apart a second alien dreadnought that had been too close. A third was crippled, tumbling out of control with its engines destroyed. Of the 6 alien ships that had threatened Proxima Station, only 2 were still functional. They stared at the debris field in shock. Their commander was dead. Half their force was destroyed or crippled, and they had been beaten by one primitive ship with inferior technology. The surviving aliens began to retreat. But before they could escape, their sensors picked up new contacts. 57 ships dropping out of faster-than-light travel. Human ships. Warships. Ghost Fleet had arrived. Captain Dong-Su stood on the bridge of the UNS Typhoon and surveyed the battlefield. He saw the debris field. He saw the damaged alien ships. He saw the escape pods from the Iron Mountain, some still transmitting distress beacons. Rescue teams to the escape pods, he ordered, and someone open a channel to those alien ships. A moment later, his tactical officer Bo Young nodded. Channel open, sir, Dong-Su spoke clearly, making sure the translation computers would have no trouble with his words. Alien vessels. This is Captain Dong-Su of the United Nations Ghost Fleet. You came to our space. You threatened our people. You destroyed our ship. Now you're going to learn what happens when you attack humans. Run back to your empire. Tell them what you saw here. Tell them that humans don't surrender. Tell them that we're coming. The alien ships fled. Ghost Fleet let them go. There would be time for revenge later. Right now they had survivors to rescue and a message to send. Commander Tejo's sacrifice had bought them time. Now they would make it count. Admiral Hayrin was in a meeting when the message arrived. She was listening to politicians argue about the new colony budget when her personal communicator buzzed 3 times in quick succession. That was the emergency code. She excused herself and stepped into the hallway. The message from Proxima Station was short and terrifying. Hostile alien contact. 6 ships. Commander Tejo was engaging to protect civilians. Send everything. Hayrin ran back into the meeting room. Clear the room. Everyone out except the Joint Chiefs now. The politicians started to protest, but something in her face stopped them. They filed out quickly. Within 2 minutes, only the military commanders remained. We have first contact, Hayrin said without preamble, and it's hostile. She played the message. She showed them the sensor data that had come through with it. 6 enormous alien warships, energy weapons humanity couldn't match. Shield technology decades ahead of Earth's capabilities. And Commander Tejo's Iron Mountain alone buying time with his life. General Wu Jin, head of the army, leaned back in his chair. We can't possibly reach them in time. Even if we sent the entire fleet right now, it would take weeks. Then we send them anyway, Hayrin said. Admiral, be reasonable. 1 ship can't hold against 6 alien dreadnoughts for 3 weeks. Tejo and his crew are already dead. We need to think about Earth's defense. Hayrin slammed her hand on the table. Tejo is buying us time because he believes we'll come. Every person in the fleet believes that if they're in trouble, we'll move heaven and earth to reach them. If we abandon them now, we lose more than 1 ship. We lose what makes us human. Air Force General Bora spoke up. What are you suggesting, Admiral? I'm suggesting we show these aliens what happens when they threaten humans. I'm suggesting we activate Ghost Fleet. The room went silent. Ghost Fleet was the secret that kept the admirals awake at night. For 20 years, while Earth talked about peace and exploration, the military had been building warships. Real warships. Not explorers with defensive guns, but vessels designed from the ground up to kill. 57 ships, each one named after Earth's deadliest predators or bloodiest battles. Ships built by people who remembered that Earth was a dangerous place and space might be even more dangerous. Ships that had been hidden in asteroid bases and dark orbits, waiting for the day humanity needed them. You want to reveal our entire military capability based on 1 hostile contact? Wu Jin asked. I want to save our people, Hayrin said. And I want to send a message to whoever these aliens are. They called us primitives. They classified us as weak. They think we're easy prey. She pulled up a file on the central display. Dr. Minna, get in here. A woman in a lab coat entered. Dr. Minna was the head of the xenobiology department, even though Earth had never made contact with aliens before. Her job had been theoretical until today. Tell them about the Deathworld report, Hayrin said. Minna nodded nervously. We've been studying the limited data we have about potentially habitable planets in the galaxy. Based on what we've found, Earth is unusual. Very unusual. Our gravity is higher than average. Our atmosphere has more oxygen. Our weather is more violent. Our tectonic activity is more extreme. Get to the point, Wu Jin said. Earth is what we would classify as a Class 12 death world, Minna said. It's a planet where almost everything is trying to kill you. Predators, diseases, weather, earthquakes, volcanoes, hurricanes. Most potentially habitable planets are much calmer. They're garden worlds where life evolved without the same pressure. So what? Bora asked. So humans are different, Minna explained. We evolved to survive on a planet that kills the weak. Our bones are denser. Our muscles are stronger. Our immune systems are incredibly aggressive. We heal faster than we should. We can survive injuries that would kill organisms from gentler worlds. She pulled up comparison charts. Look at this. The average human can lift objects weighing 50 to 70% of their body weight. That's exceptional. We can run for hours. We can go days without water. We can eat things that would poison most other species because our stomachs are incredibly acidic. We're persistence hunters. We're pack hunters. We're apex predators who evolved to chase prey until it collapses from exhaustion. Are you saying we're superior to aliens? Wu Jin asked skeptically. No, I'm saying we're dangerous. There's a difference. These aliens might have better technology, but they probably evolved on worlds where survival was easy. They might never have faced real predators. Their soldiers might never have experienced true hardship. Heiren nodded. Now imagine what happens when they meet a species that evolved fighting everything, including each other. We've had countless wars. We've survived plagues that killed millions. We've endured ice ages and droughts and disasters. And we're still here. She turned to the Joint Chiefs. I'm not saying we're invincible. I'm saying these aliens made a mistake. They looked at us and saw primitives. They need to see what humans really are. General Wu Jin was quiet for a long moment. Then he nodded slowly. How long to activate Ghost Fleet? 72 hours, Heiren said. The crews are already on standby. They've been training for this scenario for years. Do it. But Heiren, if this goes wrong, we were dead anyway. At least this way we go down fighting. Within the hour, orders went out across Earth and its military bases. Crews received activation codes. Ships began powering up in hidden facilities. Among them was Captain Dong Su, a destroyer commander who had been waiting 5 years for this moment. Dong Su stood on the bridge of the UNS Typhoon and felt the ship come alive beneath his feet. The Typhoon was a beautiful, terrible thing. She had no luxury quarters, no observation decks, no facilities for scientists or diplomats. She had armor, weapons, and engines. That was all. His tactical officer, Lieutenant Bo Young, ran through the weapons check. Railguns operational. Missile tubes loaded. Point defense systems online. Sir, we're ready for war. Dong Su looked at his crew. Most of them were young. Some had never been in combat. But they were human and they were from Earth. They would be enough. Set course for Proxima Station, he ordered. Maximum speed. We have people to save. Behind him, 56 other warships prepared to follow. The Ghost Fleet was waking up. Across Earth, families watched the news as the government announced the truth. Humanity had been building an armada in secret. Humanity had been preparing for this day, and now, the aliens who had called humans weak were about to discover their mistake. The message went out on all frequencies, broadcast toward Proxima Station even though it would take time to arrive. It was simple and direct. To all human personnel, Ghost Fleet is inbound. Hold the line. We're coming. In the depths of space, Commander Taeho's Iron Mountain was still fighting, barely, but fighting. When he received that message, he smiled. Earth hadn't forgotten them. Earth was coming. They just had to survive a little longer, and survival was what humans did best. The alarm started at 0400 hours, and Commander Taeho knew something was very wrong. He rushed to the bridge of the UNS Iron Mountain, still pulling on his uniform jacket. The night crew looked scared. They should be. The screens showed 6 massive ships dropping out of faster-than-light travel just outside Proxima Station. Each ship was 3 times the size of anything humanity had ever built. Report, Taeho said, forcing his voice to stay calm. Lieutenant Jiwoo turned from her station, her face pale. Sir, we're picking up unknown vessels. They just appeared on our sensors. They're not responding to our hails. Taeho studied the screens. The ships were beautiful in a terrifying way. They looked like crystal daggers glowing with blue and purple light. Their hulls seemed to shimmer as if they weren't quite solid. This was humanity's first real contact with alien life, and it was happening at a colony station with 50,000 civilians. Keep trying to contact them, Taeho ordered. Send the standard first contact protocols. All languages. Jiwoo's fingers flew across her console. Sir, they're broadcasting something. It's not directed at us. I think they're talking to each other. Can you translate it? The computer is trying, but their language structure is completely different from anything in our database. Wait. I'm getting something. The bridge speakers crackled to life. The voice that came through was cold and mechanical, translated by their ship's artificial intelligence. Primitive signals detected. Species classification, Class 7. Technology level inadequate. Biological markers. Weak physical structure, slow cellular regeneration, limited lifespan. Recommendation. Absorption into labor caste. Tejo felt his blood run cold. They weren't here for peaceful contact. They were here to judge humanity, and they had already decided humans weren't worth much. Sir, Proxima Station is sending out a distress call, another officer reported. They're asking for immediate assistance. On the main screen, Tejo watched as the alien ships moved closer to the station. They moved with confidence like predators who had never faced real resistance. One of the alien vessels positioned itself directly between the station and the Iron Mountain. They're blocking us from the station, Tejo said.
Jiwoo, can you get through to Proxima?
Tell them to start evacuation procedures. I'm trying, sir, but the aliens are jamming most frequencies. I can only get through on emergency channels. Tejo made a decision. He had spent 15 years in the United Nations Navy. He had survived 3 deep space accidents, 2 ship fires, and 1 mutiny attempt. He had not survived all of that just to watch aliens threaten human civilians. Helm, take us forward. Direct course to Proxima Station. The helmsman looked back at him with wide eyes. Sir, they're blocking our path. I know. That's why we're going to move them. The Iron Mountain was a deep space explorer, not a warship. She had defensive weapons, nothing more. But she was built by humans who believed in making things tough. Her hull was reinforced titanium alloy. Her reactor could push her faster than any ship her size had a right to go. And her crew were all from Earth, the planet that killed anything weak. As the Iron Mountain accelerated toward the alien formation, Jiwoo gasped. Sir, I'm getting more of their transmission. They're calling us Deathworlders. No, that's not quite right. The translation is rough, but they're saying our planet is classified as extremely dangerous. Good, Tejo said. Maybe they'll think twice before starting something. He was wrong. The lead alien ship, the one blocking their path, fired a warning shot. A beam of pure energy cut across the Iron Mountain's bow, close enough that Tejo could see the hull sensors registering heat damage. Battle stations, Tejo ordered quietly. All hands, this is the commander. We have hostile contact. This is not a drill. Throughout the ship, alarms began to sound. Men and women ran to their positions. In the engine room, Chief Engineer Sung Jin started pushing the reactor to emergency power. In the weapons bay, gunners loaded the railguns with solid tungsten rounds. In the medical bay, doctors prepared for casualties. The aliens sent another transmission. This time, the tone was different. Almost amused. Primitive vessel, you are ordered to stand down. Your classification does not permit armed resistance. Submit for processing or be disabled. Tejo looked around his bridge. He saw Jiwoo gripping her console. He saw the helmsman waiting for orders. He saw young officers who had signed up to explore the stars, not to fight in a war. But he also saw something else. He saw humans. People from a planet where storms could destroy cities, where earthquakes split the ground open, where diseases had killed billions before humanity learned to fight back. Earth made strong things. Earth made survivors. Open a channel, Tejo said. All frequencies. I want everyone to hear this, including Earth. Jiwoo nodded. Channel open, sir. Tejo took a breath. This is Commander Tejo of the United Nations ship Iron Mountain. To the alien vessels threatening Proxima Station. You have entered human space without permission. You have threatened human civilians. You have fired on a human ship. This is your only warning. Leave now. There was a long pause. Then the alien voice came back, and this time it was definitely amused. Negative, primitive. You will be disabled and your vessel taken for study. Resistance is pointless, Tejo smiled. It was not a nice smile. It was the smile of a man from Earth, where nothing came easy and nothing was given. Jiwoo, send a message to Earth Fleet Command. Tell them we have hostile contact. Tell them to send everything. Sir, Earth is 3 weeks away, even at maximum FTL speed. I know. Send it anyway, he paused. And add this. Tell them we'll hold the line until they get here. The alien ships opened fire. The Iron Mountain's shields flared bright as energy weapons hammered against them. Tejo gripped his command chair as the ship shook. Return fire, he ordered. All weapons, continuous barrage. Helm, evasive pattern delta. Engineering, I need everything you can give me. The Iron Mountain's railguns opened up, hurling solid metal slugs at near light speed. The aliens' energy shields absorbed the first few shots, but the kinetic impact made their ships stagger. They weren't used to being hit back. The battle had begun. 6 alien dreadnoughts against 1 human explorer. The aliens had superior technology, bigger ships, and more experience. But they had never fought humans before. They had never fought a species from a death world. They were about to learn why that mattered.